some serious luck here at the hyena den site this afternoon. So VM's going to show you around, and if it is your first time on Safari Live, you're in for a treat, because these hyena cubs are seriously cute and also quite inquisitive. Now, this is the largest of the 3 cubs. It was probably born a month or so ahead of the smaller 2 that you'll see later. So it's 2 different sets of cubs, obviously from 2 different mothers. And that's about all we know about the dynamics of this clan. They are very interesting animals, and in terms of their clan structure and how big this clan actually is, we're not sure. Sometimes other hyena will come past and greet these hyena but not stay here. So hard to keep track of exactly what's going on, and that keeps it exciting for us. It would be boring if we knew everything about these animals. Now, this is a sub-adult, you could say. You'll notice its coat is very distinctly spotty, and they are named the spotted hyena for this reason, but as they become older, the spots tend to fade away and are not as prominent. So that, combined with the light coloration of its coat, indicates that it's a sub-adult. Probably maybe a year and a half would be a guess from me, but anywhere in and around a few months of that period I think would be close to accurate in terms of its age. But again, just as a guesstimate from myself as to how old I think it is. And hopefully we'll get to see the mother that's currently lying down behind a bush, and you'll be able to then compare a fully grown adult to a sub-adult. Now, this won't be the first time that we need to employ some patience, as currently we don't have great views, but what I can assure you is that these cubs often are very playful and inquisitive, and may very well at some stage come right up to the vehicle so close that it'll make filming them difficult for VM, and that's happened on countless visits to this den site. They also do sometimes get a little bit excited and play around with themselves. We just need them to do that in our field of view. And it really is funny watching the 3 of them play around with one another. And even though it is play, it's a very important part of these young hyenas' life. They are essentially learning how to wrestle with one another, and this playful combat will provide them with hugely valuable life lessons, as they will have to compete with other hyena when they grow old, and may even need to compete with one another as siblings. There's an intensive hierarchy in hyena clans, and siblings will compete to try and ensure that they are high up on this hierarchical ladder. So it's fair to say they're already establishing themselves as individuals within the clan, even as they play around with one another. It's also been interesting to see how they are beginning to venture further and further afield, and that's normal for any animal that grows up. It'll slowly become bolder and bolder, which is necessary. They couldn't be stuck around this den site forever, and they certainly are beginning to stretch further and further from the entrance to their den, which is slightly obscured from where we are now, but we should be able to reposition at some stage, and I think I am actually going to try and reposition now. There is a little gap that we can get into. Well, the cubs have moved. It looks like their mother is also planning on moving a little bit. So, all in all, that reposition has worked out well for us. I don't think it was our movement that necessarily induced any change of behavior from them. They are relaxed with our vehicle and have been experienced and exposed to lots of vehicles already, and it's such an important part of the habituation process that is critical for us to ensure, because without it we will not have relaxed animals to view in future years, and if they're not relaxed with us and we don't get to see them, obviously you, the viewers, and all the tourists that do come here would not be nearly as spoilt as they are. So it is critical to understand that without the habituation of these animals, they cannot show their beauty and we cannot enjoy their beauty. And without that, there would be no tourism here. So now look at these two youngsters already. There will already likely be some dominance between the two. We haven't been able to establish which is more dominant than the other yet, because as you can see, they look identical. Now, for those of you who are seeing hyena cubs for the first time now, you may be changing your thoughts about hyena. They've typically got a lot of bad publicity over the years, and people tend to dislike them for, I guess, a subconscious reason that would have been installed in them over the years from bad publicity. But they're incredibly cute, and as you can see, the mother loving animals, and more importantly than just their cuteness, they form a vital part of the ecosystem out here. They fill a niche that no other animal does, and that is predominantly allowed by the fact, or yeah, I guess you could say allowed by the fact that they've got incredibly strong jaws, as well as a very powerful digestive system that allows them to crunch through bones and a lot of the waste, you could say, from kills that would ordinarily not be eaten and therefore not recycled efficiently back into the nutrient cycle. So that is their role, I guess, and there's various ways that they go about obtaining their meals. They can hunt and do hunt, but they also do scavenge, as do all predators out here. Lions and leopards will all steal from whichever predator they can overpower, and the hyenas are no different. We've just got a question through from Karen in Texas. Good afternoon, Karen, and welcome to the hyena den site. Karen is interested to know that if there is a physiological advantage to them having slightly shorter back legs, longer front legs, and kind of sloped spine, obviously caused by that difference in leg lengths. And there is indeed, I guess, a similar animal that you could kind of relate to as a wildebeest, which also has a similar anatomy in terms of its legs and its back. And what you'll find is that animals with this kind of body structure are potentially, or very often, long distance or endurance animals that can cover very large distances, and basically their chest cavity is very large, hence the long front legs to house the organs required for endurance, and they certainly do cover huge distances, be it when they are scavenging or when they are hunting. They are not ambush predators. They'll often run their prey down to points of exhaustion, and that obviously requires huge stamina. Good question, Karen, and I hope that made sense to you. Well, can you believe this nursing pose that the mother was trying there for a moment? It could be that she's already nursed these cubs enough, and that's why she's rolling over from side to side, because she doesn't want them to nurse anymore. Although, now she appears to have given in. No, she's had enough. You've had enough food. Listen to the little baby crying for more food. I think I can hear some branches breaking off to our right. I'm not sure what it is. It is very thick. I'm just keeping my eyes peeled. Maybe an elephant's going to pop up, or something large, buffalo, hard to say. But there could well be a visitor coming to the den site at any stage. But what VM's doing now is taking you across to the other side of the vehicle, and over here we can see the younger sub-adults. Not to worry in the world. Still a flawless face, and that is certainly going to change over the coming years. They do live a highly confrontational lifestyle, be it with other hyenas and or predators. And it was just the other day that we were viewing a hyena that was missing a tail as well as half of her ear. And wouldn't it be wonderful to know how exactly that happened? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to reposition again very slightly. These cubs are appearing to be putting on a bit of a show. So, apologies for the backwards and forwards, but I think it's going to be worthwhile. Is that looking okay, Jim? Oh, well, it looks like the mother's given in. The little cubs were whining gently, begging for one last little suckle. And shame, while this one's friends are having the joy of suckling, the older cub can only gnaw on a little stick because its mother's not here, and this mother will certainly not tolerate it drinking any of her milk. So nature can be tough. Imagine having a few tiny little babies and only 2 of them can eat and the other has to sit there watching them, there would be a large amount of tears and screaming, I'm sure. Just got a great question through from Raisa. Good afternoon and welcome. Raisa's made an interesting assumption, and that is that could one assume that the 2 smaller cubs are of the same sex because they both appear to be equal in terms of dominance? One doesn't appear to be clearly out-competing the other. And yes, that is the case, but it may be too young in their lives for that to be confirmed, and it is difficult to say. What I can tell you, though, is that there is a lot of competition between hyena, especially male and female, and females will be more dominant than males in hyena society. Afternoon, go ahead. No problem. No problem at all. I'm not sure on the protocols, but I don't see that it would be too bad to have 2 vehicles here, but again, I don't know the protocol. Ryan, just give me 5 minutes, and then it's all yours. Okay, folks, well, just to keep you updated, Ryan did try and get a hold of me on the radio, but I had my Game Drive channel turned down, so he's arrived, you know, thinking that there would be no one here, and there technically can only be 1 vehicle here, but that will only be up to a point until these cubs are relaxed. It's not our decision to make, though, when that will happen. That will be a joint discussion between all of the guides in the area, and that will probably be happening tomorrow at a rangers meeting. And it may be opened up to a 2-vehicle sighting because, as you can see, they are very relaxed with us. Anyway, back to Rice's question regarding the potential sex of the 2 younger cubs. It is a fair assumption. They could either both be male or both be female, because if there was a male and if there was a female, it could well be that the female would already be out competing her brother. And it's a unique scenario in the animal kingdom that the females are more dominant than the males and are even bigger and often stronger, therefore, than the males. And it's said that the lowest ranking female will be ranked higher than the alpha male. So well, that gives you an idea of the hierarchy. So we're just going to spend a few more minutes here, and then, as we often do, we'll make space for Ryan and let him enjoy this sighting. And again, it's so important to share all of the wonderful things that are happening out here. And what that means for us is that we can go and look for something else. So hardly a bad situation to be in. Okay, copy, that's perfect. No rush, I'll be leaving the den site shortly, but you can just stay on me, or whatever, depending on what Brent's up to as I leave. But I'll be another minute or 2 here. Listen to this. Now even if we watch closely here, the cub that was there first has probably got the most productive nipple that they would have established, and that's why the other cub is whining and begging and trying to get to it, not even really bothering to suckle on the other nipples available. But because they look so similar, these little cubs, it's hard to tell who's who half the time, or all the time, and therefore we cannot guarantee that simply because the one on the right is in pole position now that it is always the case that it's in pole position. Okay, well, one last view, and look at that for a little funny stance. Really checking us out, and I wonder what's running through this hyena's little head. Anyway, like I say, it was my error by having the game drive vehicle down and therefore not alerting Ryan that I'm here. So it's only fair that we make space for him and go and search for something else. So that's not a problem at all, like I said.